As I've been so inelegantly stating for, I guess it hasn't even been that long at this point. Sell in May and go away has been accurate so far in the month of May. I forget when I told people to do that. I think we weren't at the top, but I think we are like in the $81,000 area. Um, and my thesis is honestly has been essentially AI is a fucking black hole at the moment. The AI stocks are just sucking all the liquidity out of anything it can at the moment to keep it going, because that's what bubbles. Oh, there we go. We just broke 74,000. We're now $73,993. Womp womp. But what bubbles do, and basically, if you want to call it, even just call it a trend, if you don't want to call it a bubble, but all the attention, both capital and in thought of mind, are solely focused on AI right now, and it is super easy to port from crypto to stocks, right? So all you got to do is click a button and send the money. And even you can do it in even at Coinbase. You can buy some of these AI stocks and don't even have to leave Coinbase. But all the money has been leaving crypto and Bitcoin over the last basically, I don't know. It depends on how you look at it. You could say that it's been slowly been leaking out of crypto since Bitcoin hit the peak in October, which obviously is, if you look at a chart, Bitcoin's basically been down fucking only for the most part since October-ish of last year. Um, Obviously with some bounces in there. In that time frame, but it has been basically been going down. It basically front run the Iranian conflict. It basically bottomed before the Iranian conflict even started, to be honest with you. And then we've been kind of treading in this upward pattern, but now we're slowly breaking down. I would say that probably since the beginning of May, I would say, is when money started to rotate out specifically for AI. Everyone's prepping their books and their money to be ready to be exposed to the SpaceX IPO and also other AI stocks. And that's going to continue. I think. I think there's no reason why that would change at this juncture in time. There is just too much attention on AI, and the SpaceX IPO is the biggest thing since sliced bread. Um, and how the stock market does after it launches, that's a different question. I'm not incredibly bullish on it, to be honest with you. Um, if I'm not putting money on the line, like I'm not buying it and I'm not going to try to short it. Um, but I think it's probably going to have a Facebook IPO. And for anyone who has been around, which most of you probably have at least been around investing in equities since 2012 when Facebook IPO'd, Um, I believe it was up on the day, and then by the end of the 3 or 4 days after IPO, it was down like 35% or something along those lines. There just needs to be so much money to push this thing up in valuation, but the reason why I'm not betting on that happening is because of just how frothy the markets really are. And I'm not underestimating retards that are willing to bid an already overpriced IPO up even further. Like, could they bid it up another 30%, 40% in the first trading week? 100%. That could totally happen. Um, but I think that is going to be I don't want to say it's a point in history, but I think the rest of the summer is going to be relatively muted in terms of any upwards price action in indices, um, in equity world. Um, there's going to need to be a lot of digestion of this IPO. There's going to be a lot of forced rebalances because after it basically gets included in the indexes, it will start getting forced rebalanced into people's things, and people are going to be selling into that, and it's just going to be a lot of chop. Um, I don't think this is the end of the AI bubble, as I was saying last night. I think it is kind of the midway mark of this run. I think post midterm election, I think is when it's going to pick up yet again, and that's probably when OpenAI and Anthropics are probably going to IPO in probably either December of this year or super early next year. Um, but I suspect the markets will continue to run going into probably May, June of 2027. But well, fuck. Now that we're talking, I'm just talking. Bitcoin's down another $500. It's 73,600 at the moment. So it's just rushing to the fucking whatever. There's not looking at the chart. Let's look at the chart, fam. Um, the only real support is around that 72,000 mark. So we're probably gonna probably here in the next day or two. I would be surprised if we're not down to 72. You could see some sort of a bounce off of that just because it's in the channel, and you could see probably a bounce back up to like 76,000 or something. But it's not looking good here, technically speaking, and just narrative wise. No one is fucking interested in crypto one fucking iota right now. Like no one gives a literal fuck. No money is being put into crypto right now. And not only that, the Clarity Act is now down to a 50% pass this year. They're running against the clock realistically because I think there's only like 1 week, maybe 2 weeks of House floor time in July, and I think there may be like a couple few days in August. Like there's just hardly any days for that to even get through. So not sure if that's even going to go through, but I think June is going to be a pretty fucking bad month for crypto. Like May's already like at this point, May's already a dog shit month for crypto and Bitcoin. Basically, let me just look here at the good old. So Bitcoin peaked May 6th at 80, almost 83,000, and now we're at 73. So we're already down 10K, and the month isn't even over yet. So it's not looking so hot. Like there's just very few reasons to buy Bitcoin here, to be honest with you. Um, all the money's in AI. Everyone's putting it in AI if they're wanting to. I don't want to use the word gamble, but if they're willing to speculate at the moment, they're doing it in AI stocks. When you have Micron going up like 10x in a year or whatever it is, something stupid. Everyone's just putting their money to work there. So it does not look super good here at all for Bitcoin, honestly. Because we have the whole month of June where there's going to be no, well, I don't want to say there's going to be no news, but nothing that we know of that's slated that could be a driver for narrative, right? Because Clarity Act isn't going to get passed at the very minimum until late July, which is in crypto world a fucking light year away. So unless there's some executive order or some movement on some type of fucking strategic reserve or whatever, which I don't think there is. I think the administration has um they're trying to make they're doing everything in their power to pump the stock market um for whatever reason, obviously. And I don't think they have an incentive to really do anything with crypto at the moment. Like, you have Trump tweeting random regurgitated tweets from 20 fucking 23 or whatever it was when he kicked Gensler out. So it's like, why is he even tweeting that to begin with? So I think we're cooked here. Um, I don't think it was good. What's up? When bottom? Is that your question? When bottom?
Yeah, in a way, but also, I guess, when do you expect the demand to come back, or I guess like capital inflows to restart? Do you think I get once these IPOs are done or post midterms, or
I
even
think
longer?
well, one, it really depends on the Clarity Act, whether that passes or not in July. Um, but honestly, I don't see it really doing a lot until the later half of this year, to be honest with you, because everyone right now is super focused on SpaceX and the AI, right? That's going to go out. And then I think the stock market is going to be relatively muted for the rest of the summer
Right.
while the market digests the SpaceX IPO. And I don't mean like the stock market's going to crash, but I would suspect that the all-time high, not the all-time high, but the local all-time high in like the Nasdaq and the S&P is probably going to be 5 days before or 5 days after in that time frame of the SpaceX IPO. And then after that, you're probably going to see upwards of like a 10% correction, maybe anywhere from like 5 to 10% correction in equities, and chop for the rest of the summer. And then because the uncertainty comes in with the midterms, right? Like, stocks usually do not perform well going into midterm elections because of the uncertainties. Usually they perform amazingly after the midterms. And that's when I think you're going to see the second wave of the AI bubble in stocks, is basically post midterms, probably December, probably December and January and February, where the other two companies are probably going to try to go public, and they're going to stir up um, more illegal insider trading and stock pumping to get the stock market frothy, because you realistically need markets where they're at right now for it to even for SpaceX to think that they're going to do a $2 trillion IPO. You need people to be mass speculation mode, because let's just, the worst case scenario. Let's say the markets were muted, or the markets were actually going down when the SpaceX IPO happens. I think that IPO could potentially cause a stock market crash, because I think the continuation of this equity bull market is solely predicated on how well the SpaceX IPO does. And they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that it does not go down. Like, so if they launch it, they're going to do everything in their power so it doesn't go down 20% the first 2 to 3 trading days, because that's a huge signal. If SpaceX goes out in 5 days, trading days after, it's down 20, 30, 40%, that's when people fucking panic.
So what would be the
So,
catalyst, like, because now you're, so there's SpaceX coming, and then there's gonna be Anthropic and OpenAI later on. I know you were saying you'd only really be bullish until Q2 of next year. So then what are the catalysts for capital to even enter Bitcoin at that point, if it's just gonna be all about AI for so long?
basically, there is going, like, people need to, um, well, it's hard to say. Like, it's not pretty. I'll tell you that. Um, because you are right that, like, if people are just worried about putting their money into AI, like, why would they put it into Bitcoin? Um, so there's going to have to be some form of catalyst, and I don't know what that is. Like, obviously the Clarity Act, but there needs to be something that happens that changes the sentiment. Because right now it's complete dog shit, right? Like, maybe it's Trump finally announcing some Bitcoin strategic reserve that's not just um, them taking the coins they already have and like just calling it a Bitcoin strategic reserve, because they've already done that in, like, in Word. So, like, I don't know what it would take, but the sentiment in Bitcoin and crypto at the moment is dog shit. So I don't know what needs to happen. I don't know if we just need to wash out hard like sentiment and basically people are jumping off buildings in crypto. Like we're almost there. Well, I don't want to say we're almost there, but like the sentiment that I'm seeing on Twitter, like people are like they're fucking fully cooked. Like they're fucking they're like a steak on the barbecue after like 40 minutes. It's like just fucking crumbly. Like people are that depressed. I think they're extra depressed because they're seeing people making stupid money in AI stocks. Like I said this last night, I I basically 3 months ago, I said to myself, like, well, I'm just going to retard max here, and I'm going to rotate some capital into AI, even though I think that this trade is completely full and it most likely has run its course. I retard max and said, whatever, retards make money, and I ported a lot of money into AI stocks, and my AI positions in aggregate over the last 3 months are up 83%. And that was me thinking that I'm late to the trade, which I probably was, technically speaking. If you pull up like a micron chart and you pull up the last year chart, like, yeah, it looks like I'm late, but when I'm buying in, when I'm buying micron in basically March, at $400 and now it's $900. Like it's stupid land. Like do I deserve to make that money? Absolutely not. But one of my most favorite sayings is when the music's on, you got to dance, right? And unfortunately, the music's just not playing in crypto or Bitcoin at the moment, right? Um, Mind you, I am taking most of the chips off the table in my AI allocations just because of how much they've run and how overheated everything is. But like that begs the question of like, well, the Nasdaq is running at like a 75 on in the next 10 to 20 years because they see the multipolarism that's happening. They see their ability to project power globally being diminished over the next 10 years where they would rather focus on Russia and China without having to worry about Iran. So they're sitting there, this would be, let's say, a few months ago, sitting there being like, well, they probably knew that they couldn't enact a regime change, but they attacked anyways because they said, well, we can attack and probably not cause a regime change, but if we're lucky, maybe it happens, right? But at the very least, we can bomb the fuck out of their country to the point where we devastate not just their military capacity to project power locally, but we can also devastate their economy, like their economy as well, where we can basically put them in place and stand still for the next decade, and we don't have to worry about them for the next 10 years. Because the last thing the United States needs going into the next 10 years is going to be high friction, high multipolarism. And if they're having to deal with China in any which way, or Russia, or potentially both of them. The last thing that they want, if they're having to actually put military operations into place against Russia, or the worst case scenario, there is some type of military conflict with Taiwan and they have to support Taiwan. The last thing that they want to be worrying about is if they're putting all of their resources into protecting Taiwan, if Iran starts fucking going ballistic and taking out basically the Middle East infrastructure,
Or
which
putting it
like
under its wing, putting all that infrastructure
yeah,
under its
yeah,
wing.
yeah. Well, I don't think they're ever going to the like Trump is right. They do not need Middle East oil anymore. So I really do truly think the only reason why they're attacking is basically to devastate Iran to the point where they cannot be a combatant or a risk of them projecting power for the next 10 years. And that's the only reason why I think they're attacking.
So, so we head into a multipolar world where, I mean, let's face it, there's going to be less countries that are going to willing to buy our debt. We already have about $1 trillion in unrealized losses on the Fed's balance sheet from buying its own debt. Where does that take bonds? I mean, I could see the 10-year going up to 10-15% again.
No, I think
I
I
mean,
have a
you
different
have
view on
less.
that.
Who's going to buy our debt?
Oh baby, have you read my thesis, dog? I think the entire reasons why stablecoins exist is to perpetuate the
Yeah,
dollar.
yeah, I agree
Uh,
with that. The stablecoin
and
thesis.
and they're going to be pushing more issuance on the short end and continuing to do so and pushing stable coins globally. So you are right. The US is losing, I'll call it institutional and sovereign buyers of its debt, um, for at least comparatively over the last 20 years. And you need a supplemental buyer of buying this debt, right? And so instead of it being other central banks, it's going to be other people in other countries, right? So the global south, whether you want to call that South America, whether you want to call that Africa, all the emerging worlds or whatever, all of these fuck twits are definitely going to want to use dollars compared to the Brazilian real or the fucking rupee or whatever shit currency, right? And so if you're able to fucking juice the stable coin fucking market cap from wherever it is right now, a couple hundred billion, to like $3 or $4 trillion over the next 10 years, like you just created like $3 or $4 trillion of like net buyers of treasure short end treasuries perpetually forever, right? That's one aspect on how they're going to deal with it. But on the other side, I think you're going to see yield curve control. And I think you're probably going to see authoritarian measures put in place, forcing institutions and banks and pension funds and endowments to buy their debt. Like they're not going to let this Ponzi end without like a fight. And that fight is going to be massive authoritarian policies where they're going to force people to basically lose money because it's basically them. You need to buy this 30-year, this 10-year at 4%, even though inflation's 6%, you have to buy it. So I think that is going to happen. So I don't think the US is really in any real danger. I think the danger is more so on the physical side of the treasury and their spending and their deficit spending. That needs to really needs to happen there. So obviously the cushy vibe thesis is that GDP is going to grow exponentially due to AI and automation and robotics. And not only is it going to grow GDP, but it's also going to actually cause disinflation or deflation, or it's going to tamp down just inflation in general. Right. And GDP is going to grow at 5, 6, 7, 8% year over year for the next 10 years. Right. Which I think is most relatively non-retarded person would be like, okay, good luck with that strategy, right? Um, I do think probably within the next 10 years, there's going to have to be a come to Jesus moment of government spending. Um, and I don't know what that looks like, and I don't think anyone knows what that looks like. You can theorize about, well, what's going to happen? Are they going to slash government spending? How are they going to do that with just all the payment forwards and all the promises? And then what are they going to do for tax? But yeah, not fucking any surprise. Crypto treasury companies are just fucking nuked. They're gonna be nuked for a while. They've destroyed reputation to the point where it's like, can they ever get it back? Is the real question. Um, Bitcoin on the hourly RSI is pretty fucking nuked. It's down to 19, which is kind of fucking low. Um, let's see here. Yeah, that's fucking real low on the hourly. What's up, good guy? You still buying Pokemon cards in this dreadful economy?
Not now things have got bad. We started robbing old ladies at bus stops.
Yeah, that's what I do when I need a couple change.
Yeah, it's too bad though, uh, because everybody's poor around me, and it's kind of sad.
Just have a cookie; it'll make you feel better. Everyone's like hopped on. It's like fucking midnight or close to, depending on where you are in the world. And there's 350 people listening to figure out why the fuck Bitcoin's tanking. They're like,
I
they're looking at like Micron stock and like AMD and Intel. They're like, oh my god, Bitcoin should be up, and then it's just fucking down only,
I don't
down
I don't know where
only.
they get the faith that we're gonna have I hear some of these retards saying we're gonna hit all-time highs before the end of the year. And I'm
Yeah, I don't.
like, are
I
these
don't.
guys new?
Yeah, I think they're kind of new. I think they're new. I don't see that happening now. Just given where we're at, there'd have to be some miraculous news, um, for that to happen. Like Micron was up 3% again today. Holy fuck! Let's see where AMD's at. AMD's down a little bit after its run. AMD's up 150% since April 1. That's nuts.
Every time I've sold some uh, Nvidia, I've always felt stupid. Every single time.
Yeah, it's what is it now? $6 trillion or whatever the valuation is on Nvidia. 5 trillion or whatever the fuck it is. It's
It,
kind of
w-
fucked.
no, we'll loan you $2 billion, but you have to buy $2 billion of GPU orders from us right away.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, you know, I've seen it happen, Magoo. You've called the tops. You've called the exits. You've called these scams for what they were. When's this latest MicroStrategy bubble gonna burst?
I think it already has. To be honest with you, I don't like. Is it going to go to zero? Probably not. But it's just looking at the price. Like, let's see here. It's still down 70% from all time highs. 70%. Like it's 71%. That's like the premium blue chip shining example of what a treasury company is or should be, and it's down 70%. So I would say that the bubble is already gone there. Um, so it's
S-
kind of
s-
fucking
So when's
toast.
all these synthetics gonna blow up then? When are people gonna realize they're never getting their Bitcoin?
I don't know. These retards keep buying stretch, right? The funniest thing
They
is like
really do.
the funniest thing is what's most likely going to happen is whenever because most of these people are just buying stretch. They're retail idiots that just want income, and they think that like, oh, I'm going to sell this and buy Bitcoin when it's really low. The thing is though, if Bitcoin ever goes into like some stupid liquidation low, like stretch is going to be trading at like 70 cents on the dollar, right? So you like on that day, right? That's the thing, right? And in most brokerages, like you need T+1, T+2 settlement, and like unless you're working on a margins account, so you sell your stretch at a loss. Let's say it's even a 10 or 15 cent on the dollar loss. And then you wait 1 or 2 days for it to settle, and then you buy the Bitcoin that's probably already bounced 20%. Like it's kind of fucking laughable, right? Like I don't I would not put money in stretch at all. Like, do you remember those same fucking retards literally telling everyone to put their money in Misty? Do you guys remember that? Like fucking British HODL, all those fucking fags buy Misty and earn like a 200% dividend or whatever the fuck it is. Well, guess what? Misty's down fucking 90% and never coming back. Like people got fucking rocked thinking that they're gonna make free money. Like, okay. And you want to sit here holding stretch? Okay. Good luck with that.
Oh, it's not like
Fuck.
all the markets are topped out unreasonably at all.
Oh
No,
no,
there's no
right?
reason
Like,
not to, right?
yeah, there's no reason not to, right? That's the thing. Like, the time that you want to actually own stretch is not when the market's fucking sky high. It's when the market's low. Because like if the market does correct, stretch ain't holding no peg. It fucking you're getting cents on the dollar at that moment, or you just have to hope it goes back up and then sell, right? Like stretch has been below peg now for I don't know, a week or two or something. I don't know how long it's been. Maybe a week. It's been below, and it hasn't recovered yet. There's no demand for it. Um, there's like I don't even know how much they owe. Like they have $56 billion. Last I looked, of stretch issued. Right. So I don't. Let me just do some simple fucking back of the napkin math. If you have, well, you're basically paying $50 million a year on. Let's see here. What are they paying? 11.5%.
Yeah, it's not we've never
Oh,
heard that before too, right? Like all
yeah.
these
So you're
products
paying.
end up at an infinite discount, and people never understand
So
that.
they're paying. They're paying. This can't be right. They're paying $5 billion. Do they have 56 billion issued of stretch? Let me go to their fucking shitty website. I haven't looked at these metrics in forever. Let me see your fucking stretch. They have these dashboards too. This is so retail. It's hilarious. Oh, they don't show it, obviously. Oh, no, no, no. It says the market cap is only 10 billion. That's interesting. I guess trading these off. Interesting. So I guess they're paying well, they're roughly paying $1 billion a year then. They're paying roughly $1 billion a year to basically pay out shareholders on the dividend, which is not a small amount of money. And they just used all their cash up, their cash cushion to buy their debt back. So now Sailor, like it's coming because Sailor's even said as much that they're going to be selling Bitcoin here later in the year, or maybe they've already started selling Bitcoin,
He
right?
wants you to take your yield and put it on Ethereum and do other degenerate. He's literally telling people to take it and put it on Ethereum for fuck's sakes at this point. He said that.
Yeah, yeah, he actually did say
Yeah,
that.
what the fuck? I mean, if that's not a sign that shit's about to pop. Yeah, yeah, take
Yeah, I
these
would not.
tokens and get whatever you can while you still can. Go ahead, guys, fast.
Yeah, well, they've already tokenized Stretch, so there's that. How long until that actually gets out into the wild is a different question because right now it's done through Ondo, which is KYC'd and shit. So like, how long until that gets out into the real wild west of DeFi is a question. And another interesting question is, how did the founder and CEO of Ondo die? Magically, the yesterday or 2 days ago, the CEO and founder of Ondu just magically Epsteined himself. By all apparent accounts, it looks like he killed himself.
Wait, what the fuck's this about?
The Ondo
Yeah, yeah.
CEO and founders, he it's hush hush, but he died. But the way that it's reading to me, it sounds like he offed himself.
Where was he?
I don't know. They won't give any
Oh
information.
fuck.
All they're saying is he's dead. Um, and usually who knows, it could have been like an ongoing health issue, but when you're like this tight-lipped about it, it's usually not good, right? Like if someone died of like cancer, butt cancer, like they usually like, oh, he had this disease and he fought it to the best, yada yada yada. Not like, oh, he's gone, that's it. Like it was weird. So there's
Yeah, but
that, which is
They
another
killed
thing.
Nikolai too, right before he dropped the tokenless DAO, right? The tokenless DeFi,
Yeah,
and he was tweeting about his girlfriend being a Mossad spy,
Mossad agent.
swapping his laptops to, and I'm like engaging with all of this and tweeting it because I'm like, guys, this guy is about to like do kind of for Bitcoin or for DeFi what Satoshi did for Bitcoin to a certain degree, and yeah, he could be fucking dead 2 days later. Go figure. Yeah, you guys, they don't let us have this stuff anymore. Bitcoin's the only one that they got past the government. All this other stuff's gonna get fucking ondoed.
You know what's funny and like depressing? You have like Senator Cynthia Lumith talking about, oh, we need to pass the Clarity Act or else developers are going to get thrown in jail. Like, excuse me? Like, if did you hear the round table of the DOJ and the attorney at the Bitcoin conference? They are still fully ported into fucking going after developers, even under the Trump administration. They do very lukewarm language of like, oh, if the developer doesn't use his own software or knowingly let anyone else use it, then that's fine. But other than that, we're going to still come after him criminally, right? That's like basically saying if a developer creates Tornado Cash and then uses it himself, he's going to jail,
Well, it's there's
right?
even
Like,
language about going abroad and working with other governments to arrest people that aren't even landed in America.
that's what I
It's
mean. So this
crazy.
whole nuisance, the whole idea that the Clarity Act is even going to stop that is fucking laughable. That they're not going to go after these developers. The Clarity Act is literally not even a Bitcoin bill. It's a fucking scam coin bill to create regulatory modes for the existing in bed companies like Coinbase and all the other companies to continue their monopoly. And it's not about freedom. It's not about any of those things. It has nothing to do. If you look at the Clarity Act, just do a control F and search for the word Bitcoin and then search for the word stablecoin and tell me how many times the word stablecoin appears and how many times the word Bitcoin appears. Stablecoin's in there hundreds of times. And I don't even know if Bitcoin's in there once. Like, I was like, okay, this is clearly not a Bitcoin bill, right?
You're
So
telling me that all the African and Indian villages getting CBDCs aren't going to make my Bitcoin price go up?
unfortunately,
E-
yes.
yeah, fuck.
Yes, didn't you see? Oh, I got to post it to the nest. I posted something today actually about basically about on that nose. So I basically put together some data. I posted in the nest, and it's called Magoo Research, because obviously I did it, and I like to look cool. But basically shows you what I like to call net liquidity in three or four different slices of the Bitcoin price, and showing people realistically the correlation with different things. So whether it's the net liquidity versus Bitcoin price, or whether it's the component decomposition of net liquidity, or whether it's the composite regime score. But if you just look at the Bitcoin price and you put it next to the stablecoin supply, the thing that looks like it's driving Bitcoin price appreciation more than anything, even more so than like general macro liquidity, it's stablecoin supply. Um, which makes total sense. Like I can get into the whole reason and how like a Keynesian system, stable coins are the debt instrument and Bitcoin is the offsetting asset to that liability. But it's just plain as day that like you can see stable coins in a broad sense over a long period of time. The correlation of the Bitcoin price is pretty much that,
And that's
right?
not new either.
Uh,
Tether was manipulating
no,
the price back in 2017, 2018,
yeah,
exactly that way.
yeah, Yeah, that chart I have goes back to 2018 because that's as furthest back I can get data on stablecoin. But in 2017, when Tether started, it's the same deal. But you can see in the last, and I would say that since 2020, Bitcoin, like if you're doing any type of macro analysis on price prediction or not price predictions, but price correlations, you can't even look past or further back than 2020 because Bitcoin was just a different asset pre 2020. It was basically its own little self-revolving economy, and then in 2020 it kind of became a global asset, not just like a global asset but just broadly a macro asset. But since 2020, stable coins have been up and to the right, and so has Bitcoin. But you might say, well, that's not really a correlation. But then you start looking at like the ebbs and the flows of basically stable coins being created and destroyed. And it has a fairly decent correlation. And then you have to ask yourself, well, is that just, well, does someone just want to allocate to Bitcoin? And the best way that they can allocate is basically getting stable coins. And when someone's not interested in Bitcoin and they want to get stable coins and they just destroy them, it's no, it's not that simple because realistically, I think that for every dollar of stable coins that are created, right? Whether you go to Circle or Tether, you give them treasury T-bills or you give them actual money and they issue a coin. Um, those coins will eventually find their way into Bitcoin in some way, shape, or
Yeah,
fashion. They'll
don't
that
forget about the questionable Tron and Binance chain stable coins and all of that other vapid liquidity that's come online too. Just they just dump a bunch of dead altcoin pairs into one of their fucking stable coins. They just dump that into Bitcoin.
yeah, that's a whole other fucking ball game of that Tron and Justin Sun bullshit where it's like, oh yeah, our stablecoin's pegged by Tron. It's like, well, what the fuck is backing Tron? Nothing.
Coin week to week, and you could make 30-40% a week like that. BitMEX and Bitfinex had the whole market on lockdown. Tether was in 2018 and 2019. My trading was based on criminal activity that we noticed on chain, right? We would see insiders at Coinbase accumulating some fucking coin before they launched it on the front page. And so things were easy back then. But since 2020, we've seen some other market makers enter the space and not necessarily operate as smoothly as that Japanese dude in BitMEX that pushed everyone off their leverage every week. Um, so I, I've stopped a lot of that fucking trading because the markets are so fucking unpredictable, more than they've ever been, and it's nice to hear that at least you're correlating it with the stablecoin stuff.
Yeah, that's the only I looked at a lot of different economic indicators, not just indicators, but lagging data as well, to really look at is there any something that has real tight correlation to the Bitcoin price? Is there anything that's leading it? Is there anything that's lagging it? And I looked at things from like the credit impulse index. I looked at fucking Big Mac prices, like you name it, anything in between. I was looking at the data and trying to correlate it to the Bitcoin price. And honestly, my even going into it, my thesis was I'm like, well, I've had this long going thesis in my head being like, I don't like I think Bitcoin's price is correlated to net excess liquidity. And then I thought into my head, I'm like, how can I express what is net excess liquidity, right? First, you have to have net liquidity, right? And there's 80 bajillion different ways on how you can generate air quotes net liquidity, right? Whether you're looking at the Fed's balance sheet, whether you're looking at the Treasury's general account, whether you're looking at reverse repo drain, whether you're looking at global liquidity, global FS markets. And then you have to surmise, well, what the fuck does excess liquidity look like? And there's no real good expression of what that is, right? And so the very best that I could do was basically be like, okay, I can come up with this generic net liquidity index. And you can see in 2020, it fucking skyrocketed because of COVID stimulus and all those different liquidity causing events or liquidity programs. But even that general net liquidity has been declining since 2020, but Bitcoin has been continuously going up, right? But realistically, the closest thing I could get to was just looking at the stable coin market cap and comparing it to Bitcoin, right? Like you could make an argument that it could be the inverse correlation, right? The price of Bitcoin going up could actually be the reason why stablecoin market cap is going up, right? Like you could arguably make that argument as well. But I think it's kind of the other side of that equation. I think the increase in the stablecoin cap is making the Bitcoin price go up in aggregate over time. But interestingly enough, um, stable coins have been continuing to climb in the last month or so, where Bitcoin's kind of stalled out. So that's an interesting thing that I'm watching as well here in the short run. But I do think in the short run, Bitcoin's pretty fucking cooked. Like there's just really no drivers. Like we are gonna have to see some event that I can't foresee, like whether it's Donald Trump doing a real Bitcoin strategic
No, you're not for the
reserve
Trump bucks. You don't
or
think
not.
the Carney bucks or the Trump bucks are coming, eh? Because that could be a catalyst short term.
I don't think so in the next month or two. I don't think so. I think it's imperative that the Trump administration actually makes sure that every last ingot of liquidity is in the stock market right now and centered around the SpaceX IPO. I said this earlier in the space. I think it's an existential crisis if the SpaceX IPO happens and it doesn't go up. Like, I honestly think if the SpaceX IPO happens and it's 10%, 20% below IPO price 4 or 5 days after IPO, I think you create this massive confidence implosion where it's a self fulfilling prophecy of people being like, oh, I told you the SpaceX IPO was the top. It's down 20%. You start to create fear in the markets. You look at the valuations, you look at how much stocks have run, and you look, people start taking profit, and it's just a knock-on effect after that. And you could see a fairly large stock market correction if the SpaceX IPO doesn't do well. And what I mean by do well is actually end green on the first day and hopefully end green on the week. Like, that's what I think, right? Like, you have people out there that like, I'm not even like, there's arguments that can be made that it could be trading 30% over IPO, but it is an existential crisis, I think, to where they need, and when I mean they, I mean not just the SpaceX equity holder, I mean the Trump administration, right? Because Trump has basically weighed his entire presidency on stock prices. Every single day he tweets out something because of stock prices being up or being at all-time highs. And I think they want to continue that. And if the SpaceX IPO doesn't deliver, it could be basically a fairly large correction in equities. And then unfortunately for Bitcoin, that doesn't spell well at all. So there's that as well. What's up, say a man?
What up, man? Just been driving all day, actually, riding along, kind of making it back from Texas at this moment.
Where are you
What's up?
driving to?
Oh, I went and just picked up a boat, a little bass boat, just flipping them and whatnot. It was kind of really cheap, just free money type shit. And then picked up some,
Aluminum?
yeah, just a little Bass Tracker Pro 170, like a 2019. I just dabble with those here and
Nice.
there. I mainly mess with pontoons, funny enough, tri-tunes. Those are just really hot sellers, easier.
You flip that shit?
Yeah, for sure. It's
Nice. What are
crazy
you seeing in
auctions.
the
Just tons of people that are getting repossessed and lots sitting. So I kind of just target auctions. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. The
you
travel
so
trailers as well.
that's an interesting anecdotal economics economic point.
Extremely niche. If you have somebody that's mechanical, like you can really, like you have to kind of streamline it, kind of mess with, like I'm not fucking sitting there doing upholstery and stuff, obviously. So you work with people that are cheap, get in and kind of like build rates over time, push a little volume, just that type of stuff. But
How
no, I
much
picked up some Pokemon too, bro. Shiny cardboard on the way back. Some Detective
oh
Pikachu
fuck.
shit. Some
Oh
sealed.
man, the bubble's here, dog. The
Yeah.
boat manufacturer is buying Pokemon.
I've been doing good flipping boats.
70%, bro. If you get it that cheap, you got to buy good. It's just like anything.
Now there's lots of money to be made.
Oh, so you're just out there hustling, buying 70 cents on the dollar and trying to flip it.
Wait, no,
Boats
I don't
and
flip,
cards.
bro. I don't. No, the boats are much better rate, believe it or not. I said that was niche. The cards, when I find stuff I like to go cheap. But I mean, it's hard to get better than 60, 70% on real sealed. That's sought after stuff. So, cards are a
So
little
you
bit
selling
different
that or keeping
territory.
it?
No, I'm keeping. I'm like hyper collecting, bro. These are like pickups for my
What's
PC.
your thesis there for the next 10 years?
Next 10, it's more or less 20 probably. Just that 50th anniversary thesis. So.
Ooh, that's a thesis. That's better of a thesis I've heard from most card
Yeah,
collectors.
it's pretty basic. I mean, it's amongst the lines of. I think I talked to you about this last night.
You don't
I
have to
popped
wait
in just
20
shortly
20
about like
years.
Excel kind of pushing.
No, you just got to
Yeah,
find one
we'll
retard that'll
see.
buy the whole collection for way more money than it's worth. Just in the next 5 years, just find one retard to sell it all to. Easy.
As long as it's sequential, right?
Yeah, Pokemon. It's funny. Like the whole. I talked about this last night. The whole fucking system's so fake and gay that value will accrue anywhere and everywhere. It's kind of
No,
nuts.
yeah,
Um.
that's. I think I listened to you on the exact topic. You were talking about how like currency and the jokes previously now are reaching all-time highs. It's a pretty weird paradox, right?
Well, like the Labubu's and all this other like pop surprise shit is just a sign of how far it's gotten too. Because people can't hold like real homes and collectible cars, or they're fucking buying Hot Wheels at Toys R Us and Labubu's, and so they feel like they have some kind of control in their life, you know?
Yeah. Nothing tells me like I have control in my life like
I know
buying
I got all
Pokemon
the little
cards.
Roblox characters on the shelf in a line. It makes me feel good. Fuck you.
Bro, you can't bank on
Real
Pokemon. Like
good.
you can't count on Pokemon. You got to enjoy that shit. People are really taking it overboard. I mean, I agree with that. I agree.
Okay,
It's
boys.
gonna pop.
Bitcoin's
It's gonna
we're
pop,
re.
bro. It'll
Oh,
come back though.
definitely. When if
Phoenix.
a
Phoenix
recession
effect.
if a rec- if a recession ever hits, yeah, Pokemon's gonna fucking tank like 60-70%. But
People are gonna wipe
is
their
that ever gonna
asses with
come is a real
cardboard.
question.
I'm gonna put a three Bitcoin order in at 36K. What do you guys think? Think I'm gonna get lucky?
No, you're not gonna get lucky, I don't think.
Hey, there's still time. We're gonna go down to 56K, and where we go from there is
My
who knows.
my 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 lowest limit order at the moment is 58K for the memes.
Yeah, that's definitely
Which
gonna fill before
realistically,
October. What the fuck? Before the end of October? 100%.
it totally could. That's what 20% lower ish from where it is right now. So it's the reason why I have it is because I think it's real. Not I don't want to say realistic, but there's a probabilistic chance that it could actually be hit. Um, Going much like if you break that 58 um K area, there's really it's like it's 60K to 58K. If you break that, at least in technical terms, you're not going to see any support realistically until probably like 45,000. It's basically air. It's air between 56 and like 50,
That sounds accurate. 60 is. I don't. I
right?
just really. I don't know, bro. 60 is just one of the. I find it's like an ETF equilibrium in a sense. It's like all them
Like
fucking
let me
spending that
see
time. Yeah.
the 200 weekly moving average right now is 61K. So if I was going to, I don't want to say call it back the truck up, it would probably be in that 58 to 61K area if it gets down there, right? Right now, there's still technicals support. So there's technical support, I believe, in the upward ascending channel around 71,000. That there's support. If that breaks, you're probably realistically going to revisit the 65K area in a really short period of time. Um, but the 300 or the 200-day weekly moving average has been, at least historically, a time to buy. That was the low in the December 2018 crash, or basically after the 2017 cycle. It bounced off the 200 weekly moving average twice. It basically went lower than that during the FTX crisis, and it hasn't touched it again since the FTX crisis. Well, it's kind of that area that basically the basically all of 2022. But that's always a good point to buy. If you're buying the 200 weekly moving average, it's definitely not historically a bad place to buy, which right now it's roughly 60, actually it's
It really has
61,800.
never been a bad price to buy. And and it's I
But
mean, we're definitely going lower, and not enough people are screaming Bitcoin's dead yet this bear market. And so I need to see, I need to see like Business News Network headlining Bitcoin is dead again. And when that happens, then I'll be
yeah, I
ready to
know.
make some buys.
The only Yeah, because like the stock markets are all time highs. Like, what happens if like the AI bubble actually does pop? Like, I'm not. That's not my base case. But what happens if like the Nasdaq corrects 20%? Like even 20%. Like Bitcoin's not going up, right? We need some. That's why I was making the joke that we need to get the Pope on the line. We need to get the Pope to start tweeting bullish things about Bitcoin to get the price moving in the right
What you need to
direction.
do is protect all the developers, or I guess kill all the developers that are currently making LLMs and models that defeat the need for those giant memory sets, right? Like I think the real problem with this AI bubble is that some kid in China is just going to release some fucking a gigabyte fucking model that's just going to destroy all the stuff that's out there. And I think those evolutions are going to keep happening. And to your point previously about these data centers being out of date in 3 4 years, I don't even think they might have a purpose if we can run all this shit on our phone.
Well, it's not. So the inference you're going to probably be able to run on devices that you personally own. Whether you choose to do so or not is going to be totally dependent. I do think that open source models are a fairly big threat to some of these companies, and specifically some of the models that are coming out of China. The training, though, of these new models and the models that come after, you do need those data sets. But if I'm being perfectly honest from you, I have not seen an incremental improvement in models for the past year
Yeah,
at
because they're
least.
killing them, bro. They're
And that
literally probably killing them.
that 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 that's being generous. I would actually argue, or you could argue, that some of these models have not seen improvements in 2 years, to a big degree. Like they obviously they'll tell you that's a lie, and they'll just show you these bogus benchmarks. They'll show you why it's better. But just me generically using it, and I know I'm not just using it for generating AI pictures of big boobies. I'm using it specifically more so for coding. Um, I haven't noticed a monumental or even a big bump up in the last 2 years, to be honest with you. Um, it's specifically with Anthropic's stuff and Claude, because Claude is, I still believe, the best language model for programming, at least the way that I use it. But you start to get questions asked, because we talked about this last night, like the amount of money that they're putting into data centers and money they're putting into training these models, and the capex spend that's happening, that can continue at the rate that it's continuing at. And these data centers have to be, let's just use the word refurbish, every 3 to 4 years at the very minimum, right? The infrastructure and power is in place, but the chiplets are going to have to be probably replaced every three, four, five
Yeah, but they can
years.
let their lobbyists worry about that. They can get those incentives every 3 4 years. Come on.
Yeah, but the question becomes, is it economically viable to do so, right? Because I think these companies might hit a point in time where the money doesn't make sense anymore because they're not making any more money, right? Think about it from a chat GPT perspective, right? How do they make money? They basically charge people subscriptions. And how many more people next year are going to be using chat GPT than using it today, right? If you just go look like at an adoption curve, I forget the model they call it now. What the fuck is it called? Basically
It's
an
the adoption
adoption
curve.
curve,
Yeah,
if
you
you
got
will.
your early
Yeah, and
adopters. Yeah.
it's currently quite high, and it's growing. So that's why these valuations, because they're in hyper growth mode, right? But they're losing billions and billions and billions of dollars. Anthropics, I think, actually is pretty close to breaking even, but ChatGPT is losing or OpenAI is losing a fuck ton of money, right? And at what point are people going to stop using it, or at least the growth of the user base is going to start slowing down? Like, there's only so much money you can make charging someone $39.99 a month, right? Let's $39 a month, 400. Let's just call it $500 of revenue per person. So, are you going to have a billion people using your product? Right? That puts you basically at a billion people, and you have $500 uh, a year from per person. You're looking at a $500 billion run rate a year, right? Which is massive. It's whatever it would be. It'd be like 20 times more than Amazon. But like, are these are we really thinking some of these AI companies are going to have a billion users?
No,
Like,
there's going to be
I
a
just
winner,
don't.
and most of the other ones are going to go away. Do people not understand that?
Well, that's what I mean, right? That's why I think like these models are going to start to become ambiguous in terms of products. That they're going to be plug and plays. Like, you're not going to be using whatever, the chat GPT's, what's its latest model now? I don't even remember. It's 4 or 5 or whatever it is. I don't even
If
know.
you are using these
Um
things, you should be using them through like Poe and these other portals that let you access 6 or 7 of them all at once and keep you pseudo anonymous based on your privacy techniques. But I mean, you shouldn't be logging into these things, and Jesus Christ.
Anthropic has the stickiest moat, I'll say, because they're um I'll just call it their software, for lack of a better words, whether you're using CLI or whether you're using their Windows app or whether you're using it on the web. They have the most sticky users because, like, bar none, more people use Claude for productive uses compared to like ChatGPT. Like, people go to ChatGPT and be like, "Oh, my boyfriend didn't buy me the roses I wanted. What does this mean? Please tell me what I should do." Right? Where people on Claude are being like, "Build me out this dashboard to do this." Right? They're doing something that's actually somewhat
Well,
productive. Right? Whether it generates any revenue, that's a whole different
you're
fucking
giving people
ballgame.
too
Right?
much credit here. I mean, people are literally like this. The guy from Subnautica 2 was just like, how do I oust the current CEO and develop lead so I don't have to pay them a $250 million bonus? And in the court case, the ChatGPT logs were literally entered of this guy like interface. How do I do crime? The amount of you fucking retards talking these things about crime, it just melts my brain. You guys are Jesus.
Yeah. It's like, how do I Claude? How do I dissolve a human body?
Yeah, but
The
and it's
so
like, and
I
there's
think
been dozens of examples of this already in the courts. Like, oh,
people are retards, right? It's like yeah, people googling shit like how do I dissolve a body in lime? Um, I think it's disingenuous to say the models haven't changed. In the last 6 months, I think they've changed like pretty rapidly. Even if you look at like Opus 4.6, I think it was like they used $20,000 of tokens to have I think it was 7 agents, or it might have been something like 20 agents that
I'll
built a C compiler in Rust from the ground up. It was like 100,000 lines of code. It took them about 2 weeks time, and they built an entire C compiler in Rust. Which, if you think about it from
I'll
like a
actually
human hours perspective, that's a crazy saving.
I'll take the opposite. I think in the last 6 months, I actually think the models have been neutered.
not just that.
When
A lot of them are
Opus 4
compromised
points
at this point.
when
They're degenerating.
when when Opus 4.6 came out, it was their best model to date. I wouldn't say it was astronomically better than their previous models, but 4.6 was good. But then they nerfed it, and it was shit, like real shit. And then they came out with 4.7, and it was actually shittier than 4.6. They've done a lot of tweaking since, but I think they're doing a lot of behind the curtain shit to really limit it, because I think they don't want to be using as much inference per person or per token as they were using before because they're coming up against money constraints and also compute constraints. One of the two, maybe both, but they're definitely, and it's not just Anthropics, it's definitely OpenAI as well. They're throttling it, for lack of a better word. They're throttling the performance of Opus 4.7 currently. And they've even put in like in your face throttling. Like if you look, you have 5 hour limits. What the fuck? Why are we doing 5 hour limits, right? You have a 5 hour limit, you have a weekly limit, you have a sonnet only limit. Like they're putting all these like random, they're not random, but air quotes random limits in there to limit you and to get you to buy a bigger pay package or whatever you want to call it,
Agreed.
usage package,
Agreed.
right?
Well, they're
Yeah.
also being
There's
pressured to.
also the issue with routing though, right? Like some of these models are getting pretty advanced where like you need to use them if you're using them in an agentic workflow. It's all about like learning how to like um allocate tasks correctly, right? Because like I think it was 5.5 came out, and people were just like, "This is bullshit. It doesn't do anything. It's slow as shit. The responses are poor." But it's because it's like it's trying to go a million miles an hour in the shortest path possible, and so you almost have to like rate limit it by like breaking tasks down into like discrete functions, and then being like, "Okay, work on this while you work on this while." The other thing is like look at the frontier AI models that are coming out from like Google, right? Google, I think, is like what people miss, like AlphaFold, Alpha Evolve, Alpha Earth, Weather, like the digital twins of like Earth and shit like that. That stuff's insane, man. And it's getting pretty advanced. Like for LLMs and stuff, yeah, maybe. For just like generic coding shit, yeah, maybe. We're starting to like reach that peak and stuff. But there's other applications where I think like Google's just gonna fucking kill it. Like, yeah, how much that
Well, it
benefits
depends
us.
on what you're. It depends on what you're talking about, like what your task is, right? Like, has video editing and image editing gotten better? Yes, but that may not be strictly from the model itself. It could be from the custom stuff that they're putting on top of those things. Those things being the models. And has models gotten better in 2 years? At least for my context, sure, slightly. But when I say they haven't gotten better, like I haven't noticed like monumental difference. Like 2 years ago, I could use these products to not just stub out uh, code, let's just call it code, and create basically just as good code 2 years ago on these models. What has changed is the agentic capacity that they expose that you can use being a fucking retard, right? So if you go into Claude Code and you ask it to do something in an agentic fashion, not just like, hey, Claude, write me this function that does this, this, and this, and you can do it in chat. And it would produce you the same quality of code today as it would have 2 years ago. Now, the agentic stuff, and if you're going to Claude Code and what it does behind the scenes, yes, that is better than what you could do 2 years ago, but that really existed 2 years ago as well. It's just that no one it was smart enough or knew how to use it in an agentic way, right? Like 2 years ago, most of these quote unquote artificial intelligence platforms were basically just chatbots, right? Where they had an LLM, you could type into the chat box and it would spit something back out. And specifically with code, it would spit back fairly decent code and relatively probably better code than that you can write, right? You couldn't go to Claude Code and being like, hey, Claude, write me this and this and do this in an agentic fashion. That's new, but that always existed. That's more of a plugin than anything, right? Their capacity at Anthropics or at OpenAI, their capacity to let their users do that, that's expanded. They've scaled to tons in 2 years. But have the underlying models gotten better in 2 years? Slightly. You have people out there saying that these models now are AGI. Like you have the whole marketing campaign of the All In Podcast fags telling you that they think that some of these models have reached AGI level, right? Which is just a fucking trope at this point, right? Like one, what the fuck is AGI? Two, how do you measure it? And three, why do you think that this is now AGI, right? Like it's just you could even make the argument that LLMs are not even AI, right? Like
Yeah,
And I
correct.
would.
Yeah,
so,
correct.
And I would.
right? So I'm are there more people using these things today than 2 years ago? 100% there are, right?
Yeah, but there's some inevitable
But
forces here that are going to disrupt a lot of this. The prices are inevitably going to go up. The censorship is going to continue. The lobbying, right? The filtering, the affiliate marketing, driving you to certain purchases, and all this stuff is going to ramp up 1,000% more than it is right now in the next 2 years. And how's consumers going to are consumers even going to find that practical at that point when they're getting fucking advertisements and
I
they can't ask
well,
about the president?
you're already seeing pushback on like big companies saying that they're not seeing the efficiency gains and they're reducing their AI spend. Um, I don't know if I relatively believe that. If they bought into the hype and they thought that they were just going to plug and play AI into their existing business, maybe they're overpromised and it's under delivering. I hope Anthropic's not listening to what I'm about to say, but me personally, I would be willing to what I used Claude for today. I would be willing to pay $1,000 a month to use what I'm using right now, where I'm paying whatever it is, $220 or whatever. What plan am I on? Max. I don't even know. Let me see how
Which
much this is.
completely
I
should
don't
be
know.
feasible for them. If they can get a bunch of people paying $1,000 a month, they have a business.
Well, Anthropics is the smart ones. They actually are already making money. OpenAI is not, right? That's what the whole user base, like Anthropics was actually relatively smart on designing their entire product, not just their LLM, but in the sense that they specifically targeted coding, right? Like their entire product was predicated on dominating the coding space, right? Because they picked out a fucking cohort of people who are generally well paid and generally will beta test the shit out of their software and use it in an effective capacity. Where OpenAI, they went in the opposite direction and said, let's get as many fucking retards as we possibly can find to use our fucking chatbot to generate retarded pictures of them and their dog and their cat. And then that's how we're going to monetize. And that's fallen completely on their face because if you ask the average person what they use ChatGPT for, it's for retarded shit, and they're not even willing to pay for the premium edition,
And
right?
probably a lot less people than
So
we suspect are using it. Like, and when we say using it, like our parents might have used it a few times to like Google things, but they're not using
have
it.
they published those
How many
numbers?
people do you know integrate this stuff into their daily work? And there is people.
ChatGPT? I don't know. I integrate Claude into my daily routines and what I do, but not ChatGPT, that's for sure. Um, but
So you're saying the
that's
bubble's
like
not
that.
going to
Like,
pop?
for AI, I think it eventually will have to. But like literally, like what I posted in the nest, that those charts that are in there, I completely built out. Like I made, well, I don't even want to say the word me because what I did was I used Claude code and I built out my own not only graphing software, but I built in all the data points and basically built this out using Claude. And it took me 45 minutes to basically build out the charting stuff and build out all the data I wanted to pull, where to get it from, doing all these different things, doing all these different comparisons and correlation calculations. But I built out that entire dashboard in 45 minutes using Claude, right? Mind you, I didn't review any of the fucking code, right? Like this isn't some huge massive production thing that I'm putting out to production. where I would want to definitely be reviewing the code. But if you throw caution to the wind, the efficiency gains that you can get with coding on delivering things like that is you're moving the bar pretty low in terms of what you can do and how fast you can do it. Like, I do think that it does and will change the software industry at a whole. Um, I think it really demonetizes having junior engineers on your software team. I think it really heavily weights value at the top of the stack. I think it removes the I don't want to say removes the ability or needing to code, but I know plenty of people, plenty of engineers that are the I don't want to call them the Mozarts, but they are very, very, very good programmers, good coders. They write beautiful code, efficient code. Um, Everything's great about the code. And that's what they do. I think this shifts it steals their
Yeah, a
value.
good
And
system
I
engineer
think
will literally be able to design the system and
yeah,
then implement the systems
yeah.
themselves. That's fucked.
Yeah,
And
you
so
need it's just
yeah, so
architecture,
I
right?
think
You let the fucking AI do the grunt work.
well, yeah, you need so that's right. I think all the value gets accreted at the top of the stack. You need to have an engineer who actually understands architecture, understands foundational pillars in software development and computer science, and is able to push back and to guide AI into building the entire system. And for the most part, this completely demonetizes UX front end engineers completely. You no longer need to have any expertise in front end technologies
Or
whatsoever.
testing,
If you
like
are
entire test teams as well. Just get it to build test suites
yeah,
and shit.
entire automated
Yeah.
test teams go away. And I actually think so. This is what I think is currently happening. This is what I'm seeing with inside of my company with the engineers and everything that I'm seeing. But where I think the next phase that this is going, if it can get a little bit better, and I don't know what type of scale of how much better it needs to be, but if it can get a little bit better, whether it's 20, 25% better, I think the value accretion even starts to move away from the system engineer. And it starts to go towards that go between person who has the foundational pillars of engineering but truly understands the business and the business line and or the product, and the value accrual in that person goes up 100x. Someone who says, "Hey, Magoo, let's just take this random shit that I did today. Like, we have this idea for a product and we want to suss this out. We need to see Bitcoin's price correlation to other macroeconomic data points, right? That's all they tell you. Well, what do you need to know to really run with this project or this company, right? One, you need someone who knows how to actually fundamentally build software. You need someone who can actually use AI to help do it. But you also need someone who has expertise in macro and being able to understand what they're actually asking for,
What the
where you
point
can
of it
go,
all even is.
where what the whole point of it is. And if you have a person like that, and this is just this random project, I'm just creating this out of thin air. But if that person exists, that they can run by themselves, where before they would need a team of 5 or 6 or 7 people, if you have that one unicorn, like in the whole joke in the software industry for the last 20 years, maybe not 20, but 10 years at least, 15, there's been this joke about 10x engineers. It's this whole quirky, gay fucking concept that there is people and unicorn developers that are 10x engineers that are going to be able to provide 10x the amount of value for your company as an average
It's true
developer,
though.
right?
There are 10x
And
engineers.
and there is 10x, there are, but what I'm saying is this tool now creates the propensity for there to be less, but more
Yeah, yeah,
100x
yeah, for sure.
engineers. So
Fuck
if you
yeah.
have someone who's cross discipline, like one of the biggest constraints that I've had dealing with engineers over the last 25 years in my illustrious software engineering career is the propensity of very good engineers and coders being completely
Yeah.
inept and unable to communicate to
They're
communicate. And I don't
introverts.
just
That's
mean
right.
like,
Like they can't.
Yeah,
They
it's worse
literally
than
well, it's
cannot
not
that.
have a
It's
just it's not
basically
just
conversation. Yeah.
savants.
it's not just it's worse than that. It's worse than that. The worst, and if you've had done any software engineering, you worked on any team, you will have known plenty of amazing engineers that you cannot have work with anybody, not just another person in business. I mean anyone, period, because they are so toxic to the point where if you start putting them into work with another person, either one or two of them are going to quit, like because they're that like you might not think it because most software engineers today and age are male,
Weaponized autism is
which
what he's
is
talking about, by the
Yeah.
way.
They have no
This is
well,
patience.
it's
weaponized
They're
worse.
very
It's
autism.
opinionated. They just fucking don't. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
yeah, they're very opinionated. They will never believe that they're wrong. They don't want to work with
Yep.
anyone, and
Here's the
it's just
thing.
it's an
They're
absolute.
now, as long as they follow the comment structure for these companies, they're literally 7 contracts away from their unique style and art to being fucking eaten by the language models. Like you're like
Well,
7 contracts
I
away.
think it
Correct.
already
Yeah.
has.
Correct. Yeah.
I think it already has. This is what I'm saying. I think AI has completely demonetized those ego engineers because those ego engineers are brilliant engineers, brilliant coders, but they lack the ability to actually fully understand the actual idea or the project. They're not business oriented people. They can't talk to business people. They don't
They're
speak
not
business
motivated by
language. They can't
money
work.
or
Yeah,
normal
it hasn't. Yeah,
things.
it hasn't yet. But like you said, Magoo, like it's like 20% away. It's literally not far away. The other
Imagine not
problem
being
will be
motivated
making
by
the AI
money.
usable for those for those fucking the people who can communicate and translate between like business use case and business requirements to those 10x engineers. You also need to give them the ability to harness this AI effectively, right? If you want to replace the 10x's, that'll
More
take a
than
long time.
anything, it's going to give entrepreneurs the ability to just wear a bunch of hats. So if you're not a burnout loser and you have some aspiration, you can literally code your systems for your business yourself now using free trial accounts. Right? Like there's no more excuses. You can get like 85% of the legal done. You can get 85% of the website done. You can get 90% of the systems done all on your own. And so a lot of people are going to thrive, but a vast majority, a much larger group, are going to become victims of this.
Now, on the other side of that coin, and everyone's probably seen this, you have every retard, air quotes, wannabe entrepreneur tell you that they're vibe coding something. 99, no, 9,999 times out of 10,000, they're vibe coding something that will only ever have one user, and that is themselves for a propensity or many
Yeah, but
different
I've been
reasons,
helping those
right? We're
retards
not.
put their vibe code on marketplaces, and they legitimately get sales for these. Like these lead singers are now
Oh
writing
yeah, they would.
plugins
Yeah,
for
yeah.
fucking Ableton or whatever, and they're making. I'm like, no, no, you actually have to put that up on a website and sell it. And some of these guys have sold tons.
No, no, this is where this is the problem is now everyone thinks that they can vibe code a company and it's the other side. So you have the other side of this equation. So we've talked about the deep fear ego developers. Now on the other side, you have the panhandling wannabe entrepreneurs who think now that they have a gateway drug for them to finally develop a company or an idea that they've never been able to do before. And it is most undoubtedly a fucking dumpster fire of an idea, and it's the 900s delivery app or it's whatever the most cringy thing you can think of, and you have people out here using tokens to develop things that no one will ever
The AI
fucking use.
reassures me every time I ask that my business ideas have a lot of depth and they're very unique and very interesting. And I think that's a sign that I should continue to buy more tokens.
The other
You can continue to buy more
Yeah.
the other
tokens,
thing though,
endless
Magoo, is
tokens.
like around cybersecurity, right? So like when you pair like a fucking experienced kernel hacker or fucking like reverse engineer or malware writer with these AI, where you find like AI assisted exploit discovery, right? These guys are getting pretty fucking good, and there's a couple of open source benchmarks now. I think ARPA or DARPA did one recently, and they've got like Project Glass Wing, I think it is, where they're like basically discovering 0 days and reporting them to just a small handfuls of companies at the moment, because just how quickly it can fucking find them. It's finding like 20-year-old exploits in BSD and shit. And it's finding exploits in like Linux utilities that are pretty thoroughly understood and have a lot of eyes on them, a lot of peer review. And so it's like, yeah.
Why do you think so many DeFi hacks have been happening over the last 2
Oh man,
months?
it's so scary. We've set up.
Well, most of this DeFi code's not even fucking reviewed, and it's retards writing in retard languages and wondering why. Oh, my fucking self-typed fucking interpreted language has fucking bugs in it. Well, go fucking figure, right? But that's half of it. The other half of it is now you have basically a tool which you could be I don't want to say a borderline retard. You need to have a little bit of know-how and where to look and where to poke and push, but you have a tool where you can create tools to help you push and pull all these buttons within these smart contracts and scan blockchains and looking for smart contracts, looking for assets that are based secured by smart contracts. And that's why you're seeing
And
so
you're
many
just scraping
hacks
those
going in
hacks
the
from
last
GitHub.
2 months.
You're scraping the top 50 DeFi exploit GitHubs
Yeah.
Yeah,
before
Yeah.
you before
the
you
big
before
retards
you
are doing
finish it.
that. Yeah.
But what's crazy is that these AIs can
Yeah.
understand an entire code base and all of the comments and all of the Git commit history. It's getting to a point where like, like a human can't do that. Like a reasonably small utility maybe, but like when it gets to like fairly like large software, it's like humans just can't like reason with all of those components
Yeah.
simultaneously, right? Yeah.
No, they really can't. The only thing that I found that is really dangerous, like I said, I've developed that charting software that pulling all that data within 45 minutes. That's because I didn't review. No, I reviewed maybe 2 lines of code. 2 lines of code. Let me see how big this program is. Lines. Okay, so this program has 7,000 lines of code, and I reviewed 2 lines of code. And that's in my definition, that's vibe coding, right? Like I didn't give a fuck about this. No one's using it. I'm like, I want you to generate these charts because I want to see them, right? And then I reviewed 2 lines of code, and it was literally just the 2 lines of code. I had to copy and paste API keys to get data from the
What is it
SEC
actually
website.
doing with these keys? You're like, all right, that looks good enough.
That's the
Well,
scary part is when you plug APIs
well, I
in.
don't care because I just created them out of thin air, right? Like the Fed database, like the St. Louis Fed APIs, you could just generate them. So I just generated one, copied the API key directly into the fucking code because I didn't give two fucks about it. And that's all I reviewed, and it did everything I told it to do. Obviously, I reviewed some of the messages that Claude was giving me back as I was prompting it, right? I'm this isn't next level, but I use Claude Chat to help me generate the prompt to then paste into Claude Code, right? Like it just
Yeah, yeah,
streamlines
yeah,
things,
for
right?
sure. You should use the
Um,
AI to
and
support the
and
AI
and
for sure.
yeah, and to be honest with this project, I didn't even fully review the Claude prompts that Claude Chat was giving me. Like that, this is like in essence 100% vibe coding something, right? But I've used like I'll name well, I won't name it, but a project that I was working on that had to do with real money, real financial calculations, and it was just a feature set. And the feature set was it was making financial transactions, like real financial transactions, and it was calculating money weighted performance metrics. And I used Claude Code to help me with this. And I reviewed every single line of code that it gave me. And the only way I was able to realistically keep up with it and being able to be diligent enough to where the point I feel comfortable to pushing code to production that does real financial transactions is basically having to slice up the overall project, like creating Claude code to talk about the features and to architect with it every section or task that needs to be done, right? You do a holistic plan, then you break it down by tasks. And this small project ended up having, I think, 22 different steps. And in those 22 different steps, we went along each way and architected it theoretically in a paired programmer-esque way. And then I used Claude Code on each individual section to where I had to review every single line of fucking code that it generated. And Claude Code doesn't really do a really good view of state of showing you of everything that it's doing. Like if you just go to Claude Code and say, hey, do this, it will basically give you 3 lines of a summary of what it did, when in reality it could have changed 500 fucking lines of code. And so you either have to do, depending if you're working in a work tree or you're working directly in a specific branch for this feature, you can either use your in IDE tools for doing comparative differentials on what is changing, which it doesn't really do a good job of, or you can look at the Git commits. If you use a UI, you can use like a source tree or something to see what it's actually changing, or you can spin up. I use some form of beyond compare that's showing me live stuff that it's doing, but like it is immensely a lot more work to do it that way than to do it the vibe coding way.
Yeah, so everyone just
It-
defaults to
but
vibe coding, like, and that's the yeah,
but that's
yeah.
the problem. That's the problem because the reason why I started being very meticulous on how I use it in certain production environments is because I found I was still correcting Claude a fucking ton, whether it was financial calculations, whether it was very minute details about how to call APIs, the pagination of APIs, how to do the ordering and the filtering. There's very things like if I wasn't reviewing line by line and testing it, like I don't know if you guys are degenerate vibe coders or you're like me, before I push anything to production, I always am running it locally and I step through line by line of code. Every line that I put it out to production, I've run through it in a debugger and step through it line by line by line so I can run logic line by line and review, look at all the variables line by line, and that is immensely time consuming, but I think it's needed when you're doing at least what I'm doing. You cannot be vibe coding this shit and pushing it out as people's financial livelihoods at stake.
We vibe coded
But I
something else
was
scary. We automated open source intelligence. The problem with a lot of those metadata AI APIs is you get really inconsistent results back, and they're down all the time, and the free credential ones stop working. So we went through and we've got 6 3090 servers with 8 of those cards in them that are feeding arrays of Raspberry Pis or Orange Pi Prime specifically tasks to basically just go call these APIs, all day, every day, two, 3 tasks at a time per Pi. And it has literally eliminated 100 hours of work a week and completely automated the whole process. And it's so scary how much information you can find by people with vibe code now. It's taunting.
What is that, like threat intel or just
Yeah.
like OSINT,
No,
like
we're
such
mostly it's
stuff?
mostly
Yeah,
targeting bad people.
yeah. Crazy.
But yeah, so like you can vibe code a piece of shit software so fast. Like that starting software I did, like literally vibe coded 45 minutes, didn't review a fucking line of code. And I was realistically able to get exactly what I wanted out of it. I even had it put a nice little watermark Magoo research on the charts. Um, but when it comes to actually pushing real code, like you'd have to be a fucking idiot to vibe code something, right? I will say though, like for a bootstrap MVP, like if you're an entrepreneur, and you're actually in an environment where you actually need to show it or demo a working product before you can raise capital or at least call it an MVP. If you want to vibe code that, um, these tools are absolutely immense, right? But I think we are probably going to get into a sticky situation. I don't know when, but if the whole meta of engineering becomes just vibe coded, I think we could be into some pretty big trouble, in terms of what gets pushed out into what environments and what ends up into
It could
production.
happen. The top 10
Uh,
apps could just be vibe coded apps, vibe coded weather and calculator apps, and
well, that's
then
what
all
I
these
mean,
It's
apps are
going
right?
to
Like,
using
what
happen.
it
It
happens
and
if
will
you
happen
exposing their
because if you
learning
think
from
about it,
it.
right?
like
It's yeah.
You get rid of the
what happens
junior
in like
devs, you get rid of the mid-level devs. All you've got is about it's like with the old Cobalt developers, right? And the old like Fortran developers that banks will pay like 600K a year to come fix their fucking shit. It's like when
not anymore, they
well,
won't
no,
Or
but
just vibe
just
code
yeah,
it.
think
but
of
this is the thing,
GitHub.
right? If you have no juniors and mid levels, there's no like funnel up to like being a good software developer, and then you have the existing software developers outsourcing all of that shit to AI in 10 years' time or 20 years' time. Is we have to outsource the whole lot basically.
Yeah, that's what I made that point months ago, 6 months ago. I said this is clearly on a trajectory to basically control alt delete junior engineers, but for you to be relatively skilled and proficient enough, I think, to use these tools in their current state, you need to be a senior engineers. And so if we control alt delete junior engineers and eventually we phase out as senior engineers, like what is on the other side of that? Is it true? And this, I'm not saying this isn't possible because it's totally possible. We could get to a state where it gets so far out on the curve that you don't even need an engineering mind to run these tools. Like that could totally happen. I don't see that in the current trajectory of the improvements of
They're going to
models
be
that I've seen over the
prompt
last 2
engineers.
years.
Yeah, prompt engineers. That's a
Yeah,
thing
but it
that's
gets to a
coming.
point.
Well,
It gets to a point where you don't understand how your fucking food distribution network works anymore, or how your fucking nuclear power plant works anymore.
no,
Like,
no, that's so true
yeah,
because if you ask me, Magoo, how do you chart these data points and what algorithm, what do you do? I would have no idea how to answer that because I didn't look at any of the fucking code, right? And this is part of the reason why I was talking about production code. If I'm pushing to something to production, I need to know that software through and through. If you vibe code something, you're never going to actually know your code base, and that is a huge threat
There's a
model.
problem too with this stuff,
Like,
right? In most businesses, in most software engineering, and most processes, you can go backwards. If something goes wrong, there's usually a fuck up somewhere that is a
yeah. We'll
predictable
get to
thing.
a point you can't go
Yeah, and
back.
you can review
Yeah,
that. You can
yeah.
fire Sandy or whoever the problem is. You can fix the bug. But the problem with these LLMs is they're going to do something inconsistent that we're not going to notice for years at a time. And it's going to disrupt a lot of these systems. And, like Google's only wanted to hire Asian and white guys from 3 universities that were 20 to 23 because that's what its data told them. I mean, that was very obvious to us
Yep,
right away.
yep.
But there's going to be a ton of stuff that we just missed for 8, 10 years. And we'll never be able to go back and figure out what the issue was, and we will at most we'll be able to try to sanitize it on the other end to stop it from happening. That'll be our
But
best
it's
option.
like the high frequency trading bots, right? You have these like algos, these black box algos doing high frequency trading that literally cause like futures markets to crash, like wheat futures or like some fucking other random commodity, right? Because and no one knows how it fucking works. It's just a machine learning fucking black box where like you can give it the same inputs 5 times and get 5 different results. They're not deterministic systems. So it's just like yeah, we're fucked, man.
make your money while you can, dog. I do think though, like I'm pretty um I don't know if I'm like bare bones doomerish on how disruptive AI is truly going to be to the job market. It's definitely going to be disruptive. Is it going to be doomer
They're
level
going to fire
disruptive?
another
I
60% of
don't.
the staff in the next 5 years, and they're going to blame AI.
Yeah, but the problem is they're going to claim AI, but like realistically, those people needed to get fired with or without AI. So we're seeing a lot of muddy water right now. Like even with Jack Dorsey and Block firing those people and claiming it's just middle management bloat and blah blah blah. AI is going to solve our problems. Like I couldn't smell more shit coming out of his mouth when that memo came out, and along with all these other CEOs basically claiming AI, what they don't want to admit is they just overhired during COVID and they were holding on to a bunch of fucking retard employees that they were scared to get rid of. And now they finally have tight enough margins to where they have to, and they're seeing the job market in the being good enough to let these people go. And then they fired them, and then they're blaming AI. Like I'm in literal board meetings where that's the open running conversation. Well, do we need to do a riff right now? If we do, we can just say it's because of
Yeah,
AI.
yeah,
Like
and the
that's
answer is
literally what's
yes,
happening
right? You tell them
in boardrooms right
yes.
now.
Your informed paid opinion is yes.
Yeah, pretty much. I said, yeah, why are we holding on to these employees? Like, for example, like if you hired software engineers in the peak of COVID, call it 2021 and 2022, you overpaid probably by like upwards of 30 to 40%, and you got dog shit engineers. Like if you haven't rotated your complete engineering staff over the last 2 years, you are fucking retarded.
So forget about the companies.
Because now,
Society disruption is coming, right? When do we get through that? If 60% of the workforce is also about to get laid off,
well,
and disruption
I
worldwide
don't
is not
think
going to
this.
go away, everything's going to
I,
continue to go up.
I don't. I don't think it's 60%. I think you could see at least what the fucking doomer CEOs are saying, which is the Anthropics and OpenAI, Sam and Twiddledee are saying that you could see unemployment at 10%. Um, the question is, how long does this transition take? I think it takes a lot longer than what a lot of these AI talking heads are talking about. Um, and I've went on this rant before. People have, if you've never worked in a Fortune 500 company, you truly don't understand the dynamics and the politics and also the bureaucracy and how slow these companies move. And I think you're starting to finally see the beginning understanding about this when you have Microsoft coming out this week saying we just aren't seeing the efficiency gains with AI, so we need to decrease our AI spend. It's because they have built a monstrosity of a company over 50, 60 years to where you can't just strap a fucking dildo that says AI on it and then say you have a big dick. It is such a fundamental underpinning to where you cannot just do that and expect it to add massive efficiency gains. Like, sure, can you put into certain segments of your corporation that you can use AI and have efficiencies? 100% you can. But are you going to make Microsoft 20% more efficient just by strapping on Claude code into random places into your business and your processes? Absolutely
And it's
fucking
not
not.
cheap to pay
You're
you to
not going to
go
do
line by
that.
line through the code if you're doing it, right? So like
Yeah.
so much for
Well,
junior engineer
so,
cost.
but yeah, but people don't even realize that like 80% of the people work at Microsoft aren't engineers. Like they don't like it's such a monstrosity of a company. And same with like any other company. There's so much fucking people that do
Just
work
yeah,
that you don't even
woodman.
know
No,
about.
half of their jobs are
Yeah,
just
there's
fucking
they don't even know. Like if I started spewing some of these job titles off at you at like corporate America, you'd be like, I have no idea what these people even
So these are
fucking
useless
do,
people
right?
that we're
It,
ushering back out into society with no hope of a
well,
job.
this is my view is
This is
that
about to pop
so
off. That's what I'm trying
I
to tell you, man. Civil war and shit.
I
It's gonna get
no
real.
I honestly don't think it's about the pop up. I think people are fiercely underestimating the momentum of corporate America. But that being said, I have the view, or I've always had the view in my head that 10% of the people at a company produce 90% of the value. And that's pretty straightforward. I shouldn't have to explain what that actually means. Um, but the nuance is those 90% of people that produce 10% of the value, what they also do is they clear streets, pick up garbage, and make room for those 10% to be the performers that they are. And I've noticed this just restructuring teams before. If you have a team of 10 and you have 2 to 3 real performers, and you have a project manager, a business rep, you have all these other ancillary, what I would like to call support staff. They truly, looking on the surface, you look as an executive being like, these people add very little value, because you don't see the output of their work as clear as day in them producing something. But what they do is they take care, they're basically the garbage collectors, and they clear the garbage on the runway so those performers can actually perform. So if you have this doomerous AI mindset that, if you believe, like I believe, 10% of employees produce 90% of the value at a company at any given time, take a plus or minus 5 or 10%. You said, well, let's just fire the people that are non-productive. Like Cloudflare CEO came out this week and called these people measurers. It's just another name that they group these non-productive, these in-your-face productive people, and called them measurers, right? The air quotes middle management, the busy work, the garbage collectors. But those people are clearing the way to let the performers perform. And if you fire them en masse, you are going to start to see your performers' performance degrade rapidly. Not just because they have extra little tasks that they need to do that they never had to do before, or worry about something they've never had to worry before. Performers perform for one reason. If you even, like, I'll do an analogy of sports or an example of sports.
Gay.
The very best athletes in the world do one thing, and they do one thing very, very well, right? It's very seldom that you come across an athlete that can play professionally and 2 different sports that are just not even close to the same sports, because they've honed their skills through their entire life to be the best of the best of what they do. And that is what these performers at companies do. They have honed their ability to be performers on what they do, and it doesn't matter what they do. If you start to inject ancillary things into their path or their processes that they've never had to do before, because all the garbage sanitation workers have been fired because they've been deemed not to be productive because it's not readily in your face, not only do their velocity decrease, but what you will also see is a psychological effect on those people to be like, I'm not like, how can I say this? A players on a team, the performers, the number one thing that you can do to piss them off and to get them to quit is to have them working directly with B players. And so you have this environment where these B, C, and D players, like, that are clearing the runway, picking up garbage, cleaning the toilets, so that these performance can take off like a fighter jet and take a shit in the toilet and not have to worry about anything. As soon as they have to start doing those tasks and start interacting with people in different processes that they haven't interacted before, they're gonna fucking hate their lives, and
Oh,
they're
and they're
gonna
going to be
quit.
they're going to be
And that's
loud
the
about it.
easy.
Not only are they going to quit, they're going to be disruptive to the business environment. Imagine asking your top corporate sales guy to do warranties, right? Like, imagine,
Exactly. That's one example.
imagine how
Yeah.
he's going to react to that. And why would you even imagine that you should ever ask him to do warranties? You can pay someone $15 an hour in the back to do all of that bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Mr. C compiler dev, can you go make this data transition in the database? Can you go sub these values out, or can you write a report that literally just scrapes the value out of a
W-
database table and give it to our chief
We're
compliance
having a
officer?
problem.
What's the
We need you
first
to
thing
help
that's
the
going
web guys deploy
to
something. Can you help with that?
Yeah, there's something wrong with AWS. Something's wrong here. I don't know. And their chief compliance officer is asking for some report about your deployments to prove that things are
The
being
boss
signed
can't
off
reset
on.
his
Can you
password.
do
I'm putting it
this?
up there right now.
Yeah, he might have just clicked on this phishing email. Can you help us out here? Like, this is what happens when you fire the garbage collectors at a company. Like, it is monumentally self-destructive. But this is the whole narrative that these AI CEOs are telling you is what's going to happen. It's just fundamentally not going to happen in the time frame that they're stating, right? I think it was open or no, it's Anthropic CEO saying that white collar work is going to be eliminated within 10 years. Like, you have to be smoking the biggest pipe on the planet and putting bath salt in that to even play that out in your head and have to ask yourself a second time, is this person a fucking retard? Like, that's how asinine
Don't
some
they
of
all
these
have
claims
IPOs
are,
though,
right?
Magoo? Like,
No, it's yeah, it's like, oh, let me read SpaceX's S1. Oh, they're talking about Cardiff scale level civilizations. What the fuck are we smoking? It's going to be hundreds of years before we're fucking level one Cardiff, not level fucking two that you're talking about, consuming and getting all the energy from the sun and the entire solar system.
But
What the fuck are
but
we talking
I
about?
give it 10 years, and I think the majority of these systems will finally start to be understood of where they properly can be applied. And instead of shotgun shooting all of this
No,
stuff, they'll really singular lane most of it.
well, you know what this
And we'll see a
the
renaissance.
other
We
the
will we will
other
we'll see a
yeah,
renaissance
yeah,
of
the
you're
other
correct, good guy.
optimization and
Yeah, yeah.
efficiencies
you're gonna add
for
efficiencies
sure
everywhere, but it's
everywhere.
like so I think AI is probably going to be harder to integrate into what I would just call the economy or corporate America, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be harder to integrate it into corporate America than the
Or
internet
Yes,
travel.
was.
because business
Like,
business is fucking messy. Business is all about making gut feel. You've got two wrong answers. Choose the least bad answer, right? Or you've got fucking hierarchies and you've got social constructs. You've got like politics. There's so many problems.
You
Like
got cults at
business
Google
is
for fuck's
messy.
sakes.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, the interesting thing that I have in my head is I think global adoption of AI is going to be faster than the internet, but I think the overall adoption of AI into underlying business foundations is going to be longer than the internet
And
adoption
probably
curve.
not
Agreed.
suited for a
Um,
Yeah.
lot of things that they're selling it on right now. Probably
well,
never.
it depends.
How many
We
people
don't
have
know what the
submitted
real
precedent that doesn't exist now? Like, at some point, they're gonna have to fucking stop using this stuff in law altogether and like come at it again, because it's not that it doesn't help; it's that people are misusing the court's time with retarded vibe cases, and that will only spam the shit out of the courts unless they do something.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I do also think that if AI is even 10% of what the CEOs of the AI companies are saying it will be, I think that it is going to be so heavily regulated. Because you're talking about imploding, I don't want to say the economy. You're imploding people's ability to basically work for a living, right? And because if you listen to what they're talking about, the CEOs, that's essentially what they're saying. They're saying about this is going to be a renaissance of job destruction and apparently job creation on the other side of that. But if it's even 10% as big as they say it's going to be in the disruption phase, it's going to have to be so fucking regulated because they cannot let it run rampant. Because if they do let it run rampant and let the disruption bomb just hit, you're going to see a revolution.
No, no, they
Like
are,
it,
Magoo. Have you not heard about all the new data centers? They're literally they're running full speed into this right now.
well, that's what I think. So the whole idea is they're letting them run full speed off of basically a cliff because the right now they're in competition with basically
Open
China. So
source and China. Yep, yep. They want to get as far ahead
they're
as they can.
wanting,
Yep, yep.
yeah, not only they're getting as far ahead as they can, but they're openly competing to get there first. And where is there? Nobody fucking knows, but they want to be first because they see it as an existential geopolitical threat, right? And so they're letting AI run rampant at the moment. As soon as these IPOs get finished, and specifically if the Democrats win in 2028, I think AI is going to have a come to Jesus moment in regulation. They're going to, it's like a clock pendulum. Right now we're at one side where it's basically a free
Yeah.
for all. There's no governance. There's no monitoring on these models and what they're used for, how they're trained, all these different things. Just throw it into the economy and hope nothing blows up. That's where on one side of the pendulum. And midway through the Democrat presidency of 2028 and going into 2029, 30, the pendulum's going to swing to the other side. And these CEOs are going to be literally in Congress testifying and pleading their case on why these companies shouldn't be nationalized or at the very least be heavily regulated and taxed.
It
Like,
depends
I
how
just
far
don't
we
see
get.
any
It
way
depends how
around it.
far we get in the next 2 years, though. Like, if it can provide like economic output, right, that exceeds the cost of these things and the environmental damage and
No,
whatever.
no, no, but that's besides the point. Nobody cares about that. Like, yes, that is what you should be looking at on an economic
Does it change
standpoint.
anything
But
though? Right? Because I'll fill
no,
warehouses
but
full of computers over
what's
social
most
media.
important, are jobs. If you are in this knee deep and it is creating unemployment to the point where it won't create stress in the economy. Like, if they are right, I think their mindset is in the right place where there could be massive GDP growth, but also massive unemployment. Like, I do think that that's fundamentally possible.
So
So no
Trump
one's
bucks.
going so nobody is going to be crying that GDP is too high. Where they're going to be crying is that unemployment is too high and there's no safety nets. Like, it's going to cause an absolute avalanche of panic. Not to mention, like, this
Bro,
is
they're
only
burning
one.
down the Amazon.
There's only this is only one anecdotal example, but the commencement speech where they basically talked about AI to the graduating class at university. And the reception that he got was basically booing in his face. Now, this is people who have just spent upwards of 50, 60, 70, $80,000 to get a degree, that now they're being told that essentially the degree is worthless, and it might have always been worthless, who knows, right? But now they're going into a job market where jobs are getting evacuated out the back end because AI is going to, air quotes, be taking them. Like, that's existential threat territory for the populace, to where they're going to demand their politicians to do something about it, right? Even if AI is as amazing as it could possibly be, there is 0% chance, a 0% chance that if unemployment gets to 10% or anywhere close to 10% and new graduates are unable to find jobs, either one or two things are going to happen. Either their government clamps down fucking hard on AI and creates a tax structure and an incentive structure to hire real humans or to extract enough capital from them to be able to pay the fucking losers who don't have a job. Or two, those people who don't have a job start killing people,
Magoo,
Yeah,
right?
civil unrest.
there's literally guys live streaming burning the Amazon factories down. The employees, these kids, are live streaming on TikTok while they burn these factories to the ground. The chemical facilities have gone up in the
Yeah,
last week. This
yeah.
is only going to ramp up to a degree people aren't even considering at this point. It's
Well,
going to get
that's
weird.
this is the whole thing. This is where I debate in my head. Like, are these retard people, CEOs of AI companies, are they actually right in what they're describing is going to happen? Or are they just selling the narrative to IPO, right? Or is it somewhere in the middle of that? Because if it is what they're saying in their marketing campaigns, if that's actually true, then yeah, this whole society, this whole civilization is going to have a come to Jesus moment of very big things are going to happen in a very short period of time. What that really looks like and how that shakes out, nobody fucking knows what that looks like. Lots of civil unrest, clearly. Lots of regulation, lots of taxes, lots of authoritarian measures, you name it, right? And then on the other side of that, well, what if they're just full of shit and this AI wave literally fizzles out and it really takes 20 years to integrate it into corporate America and it's not really going to cause any unemployment, right? Like those are the two sides. And you got to weigh which one's more likely. Realistically, it probably follows somewhere in the
Somewhere in the
middle,
middle,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but they'll fire a lot of people before we figure out which way it's going.
Yeah, correct.
Well, they're gonna fire people in general because if you just look like at U.S. unemployment, like, well, this is this is kind of like a fucking double-edged sword as
I mean,
well.
all during deglobalization at the same time too. It's fucked.
Um, Unemployment, at least historically, is at a relatively low point right now. But unemployment, they've changed how you measure unemployment so many times since they've basically started measuring this from like the 60s and the 70s. Well, they've started measuring it a lot before that. But right now, we're roughly 4.5, 4, whatever it is of unemployment. Um, and historically, like coming out of the GFC, we were at 10%, right? So, like, just to put this in context, the CEO of Anthropics is telling us that we're headed towards 10% unemployment. Do you know how much civil unrest there was in the GFC when there was 10% unemployment? Like, and this is people completely misunderstand the human psyche. So in 2008 and 9, when unemployment was 10%, everything was in the shitter. House prices, stock prices, bond, everything was in the shitter. And your average person who didn't have a job looked around and said, okay, everyone else is in the shitter with me. I'm going to grind it out. Now, imagine if you had 10% unemployment and you have a certain percentage of your population making so much fucking money that they don't know what to do with. What do you think those 10% are going to think? Like,
What do you mean, like rampant amounts of fraud and
I'm
simoleon or
gonna
Indian
equate
or?
it. So I'm gonna equate it to people in this room who probably completely understand this. Do you think Bitcoiners would be so salty right now if there wasn't an AI bubble, or do you think that they're extra salty because their coin is down and other shitty stocks are up like 80% in the last month? Right. That's the comparative. Everyone's so salty in Bitcoin is because yeah, Bitcoin's down a little bit, but what they're really sad about is they're comparing it to like SanDisk and they're comparing it to Micron or Nvidia, and they're seeing these retard maxers who putting in their 401ks and just making boatloads of money, but they're not making any money. That's why they're really mad, right? Now take that on a grand scale and you have 10% of the population who can't get a job, and then you have the other people just making hands over fists of money like that doesn't seem too good for the civil unrest category.
On full display too. I mean, the fraud and the insiders and the favoritism is on full display now in America.
Oh yeah, well, Trump is leading the way. The amount of grift and fraud and insider trading that Trump is doing, it's like I'm not saying like this is very a big trope, but like he's in mass abstraction mode to the point where it's like everyone knows this is the end, and they're taking and making it as every last dollar they possibly can make before it's over. In Trump's in Trump's world, and I don't mean the world or the economy is over, like it's Trump's presidency. He has one last presidency and that is it. And so last time he was in office, he basically did nothing. He didn't make any money. He actually lost money. And then this time around, all he's doing is basically paying back vendettas and grifting as much money as he possibly can
Bro, they
grift.
shot at him. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? be full Trump mode right now if somebody's trying
Well,
to use
all
three
I
times?
want to know is the guy who shot him in the ear was in a BlackRock commercial. Can we get a little bit more information about that, please? Like, why was this kid in a
No,
BlackRock
you're not
commercial?
allowed. It was an operation.
Yeah, right. It's like,
Do you want to
interesting.
get Alex Jones here? I can call the Sandy Hook families if I have to.
Yeah, never Standing Hook never happened, right? Yeah, I don't know. The fucking so Trump is in mass abstraction mode. He's just like grifting as much as he possibly can. And you want to know the funny? Well, Bitcoin's down 2% today, and people are about to jump off buildings. 2%. Bitcoin's down 2%, and people are ready to jump off a building. What happens if Bitcoin corrects another 20%? People are gonna not only jump off a building, they're gonna find their local Bitcoin treasury CEO and take them with them. Like that's what the sentiment is
They don't
currently.
buy. I know all these people with lots of money that buy, six figures at a time. And when the markets go up, when it hits 100, they buy a bunch. When it hits 67, they're just mad at you, right? And you're just like, "What?
Yeah, Bitcoin's
Just
price action
fucking buy more, you retard. What are you doing?"
Bitcoin's price action is pretty fucking shitty at the moment. It looks ugly, ugly, ugly. Um, we will we will see a bounce. Probably at 71 ish k. 71,500. I think we'll see a bounce. But that's the upwards trend. That's technical speaking. Technically that's where the support really is, right? Let's see here. It is at $71,867 that we will probably get down to here in the next day, and then it will probably bounce back. And then we could see it bounce back up to 75K. But if we lose the upward trending channel, if we lose that, realistically, we're probably going to revisit the scene of the crime or close to it, getting into the low 60s again, which is kind of shitty. It's funny. Bitcoin's RSI was 70 on the daily, like less than like 3 weeks ago, and now it's already back down to 34.
The despair has not set in. I think that's bullish. I think what you just said was bullish. I think it's going to go lower. That we haven't felt the despair this cycle yet.
No, we haven't.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah.
We haven't felt despair yet. I don't know when despair would really kick in. Like, it is interesting to see people's emotion in the face of watch. Bitcoin's going to crash more, and then the Nasdaq is going to make an all-time high tomorrow morning, and then they're going to get even more mad.
I think we need to go well below 60. Like one big, nice little fucking cut down to like 52 or something, 55,
The only
something like that.
reason why I don't think it could get that low, well, it could, if the AI bubble actually implodes. Like, yeah, we're going astronomically lower, but realistically, I think there will be a lot of buyers at the 200 weekly moving average, which is roughly 62,000 currently. So there's that. But depending on what happens here, I'm watching it super closely on this upwards channel, but I would back the truck up probably anywhere from 64 to 58 is where I'd be
65.
buying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'd be buying. But like I said, there's no catalyst in sight. The closest catalyst is the Clarity Act. Like, do you think it's a coincidence? Like, I don't know if you guys pay attention like I pay attention, or maybe it's just my feed, but there is so many fucking tweets today from US officials and politicians about the Clarity Act needing to be passed. It's like, do these people, are they so fucking retarded that they think that the price is dropping? So let's just send a tweet storm about the Bitcoin still being the American thing and all this other bullshit in the Clarity Act. The Clarity Act is not going to be even heard in the House of Representatives probably until late July. You know how far that is? That's literally 2 months away. That's like 2 decades in crypto. Like, what's going to happen in 8 weeks? Well, what happens next? You have SpaceX IPO that happens basically within like 2 weeks almost, right? And then what do you have after that? You have nothing. You have everyone on vacation, and you have insiders probably dumping as much SpaceX stock as they possibly can dump, on fucking retailer dumb enough to buy at this valuation. Like all of this, all of this capital is getting sucked into AI. Literally every penny that possibly can be sucked in is getting sucked in, right? It's why it continues to go up and Bitcoin continues to go down. I told people 2 weeks ago, I said, sell in May and go away. Like, and here we are. I don't know what the exact dollar amount that I said it was, but essentially we're down over 10,000 since I said it. We're down over 12%, and May has definitely been selling May and go away. I said June's not going to be a pretty month, and we're not even in June yet, and it's not even pretty. But I don't think
If we're making up poems, it's by in October. It's gonna get lower.
that's not even rhyme. Are you retarded?
No, it's the
At
truth.
least
It is
make it
what it is.
rhyme. You're just.
It's listen. I was in Japan last week. You gotta cut me some slack here.
The
Oh
the
my god.
midwit and genius move is just a fucking DCA. Like buying at these levels is fucking great. If it goes lower, just buy more lower. Like just keep buying. Like to be honest, like if you didn't sell like up much higher, I wouldn't try time the market personally.
I already timed it.
I timed it, sold a chunk. You and Matt got me bullish like 3 weeks ago, so I bought a chunk back more, but I'm still sitting on a fair bit of cash just on the
I
side
told
waiting
I
for.
told everyone to sell at 124. I told everyone to buy at 60 to 65. I told everyone to sell at 80, 81. Bro, I'm on point this cycle. Point.
Do you think the price action is gonna price in pre halving like it did last cycle for the first time?
I don't believe in the halving
Because
even.
No, I don't
it
think
was
so.
6 months
I don't
early
think
last
so.
time.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
even
yeah.
I don't even believe the happening bullshit. I one of well, this is just maybe this is a pipe dream, but I think and this is maybe I'll give I've been shitting on Bitcoin all night, so I'll give people a little bit of hopium. I think what Bitcoin could probably do is this summer it gets absolutely eviscerated, and going into the midterms, and it basically can be back into the 60,000s, and people then declare Bitcoin being dead, and then Bitcoin goes from like 60K in October, November, and then by June of next year, it's at like $150,000.
100%. That could definitely
It's
happen.
definitely possible. Yeah.
It should be. Oh fuck! Like it
Oh
should be.
no, man! I'm gonna
We've proven it
guarantee
out
it.
now.
I'm gonna give it the Black Swan guarantee. Whatever the
The
fuck
the
that's
the
worth.
the problem is like when you account for inflation, we're doing pretty fucking poorly, to be honest.
Bro, if you do
Wait.
go back, I don't even think we're above the 2017 prices
No, probably
inflation
not.
adjusted. That's
Yeah.
sad.
Okay, so if we're waiting to buy Bitcoin, when do we buy Solana and XRP?
You don't. You should short that into oblivion. I honestly
Holy
have
shit!
not.
Most of those never came back from their 2022 highs, their 2021 highs. Most of
To
them
be honest,
never even got close to their former highs.
gold will probably run before Bitcoin does.
Let's
I
see
reckon
here.
gold gets the
Man,
second
Yeah,
highest
it's
Solana,
global
like
before Bitcoin
how
disruption
does.
over
okay, I
there.
haven't looked at the Solana chart like probably since like a year ago. It like how manipulated is this? Like it crashed down and it's like literally been a straight line at $80 for the last March, April, May, basically 4 months. It's just been a straight line, like that some institution is just holding that line. That's hilarious. If that line loses, like where's the support on Solana if it loses $80? It's like
There's
$30.
none.
That's what I
Well,
mean. What
I met a
happens?
guy last night that said his religious prophecies told him to buy XRP and that the CIA have a backdoor into Bitcoin.
Retardation's not a religion, good guy. Sorry to
I
Yeah, I
tell
think
you.
know,
that
man.
guy
There's a
was
lot
hit in
of
the
it. If
head,
you're buying
man.
XRP or Cardano, you definitely have to have some kind of community bias
Let me
for
see
sure.
XRP. I haven't even looked at XRP prices in probably.
I'm pretty sure if you're talking about the guy I think you are, he literally has a head injury.
If you guys think that you're part of a community in the crypto space, if you like say good morning to people and you feel like you're part of a club and you paid $500 for some art or music thing, I mean, no, you're not. You're just a lonely adult. You need to go volunteer for things you care about. You need to go on some hikes, get some maybe dodgeball league. I don't know
Go
what your
canoeing
thing
or
is,
something,
but
get some fucking fresh
you got to
air.
get
Yeah.
out of these crypto communities, guys. You got to delete Telegram, please. It's for your own good.
I don't even know why the price is. The only thing that I can see on the news headlines that would make Bitcoin be like getting absolutely smoked right now is there seems to be more military strikes in Iran at the moment, or at least in the last 4 or 5 hours. Um, but yeah, here we are at $72,880.
I love how
By
the
Uh,
in
whole world
October,
just
it's gonna
forgot
get
about that.
lower.
we
Fucking
balance at
crazy.
set we balance at 71,000. Yeah, but the whole world forgot that. The, yeah, we'll see. Oil's probably going to be up tomorrow. So there's that. It's so hard. Like I actually today I took 90% of my AI stock portfolio. I cashed out today. I was up I think 82% over the last 3 months on some of my AI stocks. Um, and I honestly thought I was retard maxing. I thought I am so late to this fucking trade. Like, what am I doing buying Micron? What am I doing buying some of these companies like Nvidia over the last 3 months? And I'm like, I'm late. I'm gonna get rinsed. And 3 months later, the whole trade is up 82.3%. It's fucking retarded. Like these stocks are so fucking inflated. Like, how is Micron $1 trillion company?
I think because we're reaching like Weimar Germany fucking levels of just everything go up, right?
Well, literally August of last year, it's up 700%.
All the while, all these lawsuits are coming to the courts here in America. We're seeing what's going on in the UK. Everybody who's like low IQ at best is getting fired. I mean, I can't see how this could go wrong at all, guys. I mean, they might just burn all the AI data centers at this point. Are we? Is anybody betting on Polymarket on that one? I might have to place the burn and all the data centers get burned.
They're spending so much fucking money on data center, the capex spend. Like I think this year it's like 800 billion or something retarded.
I'm
And
just
there's
AI cults that like worship some model or like
No, they
fucking
already
the
exist.
Christians
yeah, we already
uprise and
have
fucking
that, Black.
fight the
You
AIs
need
and
to
shit.
join.
That already exists.
You got to trust in the AI, Black.
Shit.
The raids of the Scientology buildings are like 10 out of 10 in my mind. I think the raid videos are so funny. And on a less funny note, someone's been burning all the Masonic buildings here. Like like six of them. The Freemason buildings have been burned now. And I don't know why that is going on, but I mean, guys should definitely need to be raiding your local Scientology buildings for sure. That shit is you can only this is like a time. We will reflect on this shit for many years, folks. You got to get involved.
I'm just laughing at like apparently we had a peace deal with Iran like 40 times according to Trump's tweets, and now we're back to like fighting them, it seems.
Wait, I thought the
It's
strait was open. Come on, Magoo. You're fucking with my
how
portfolio here,
many
man.
times have
Relax.
we won this conflict as well? I'm pretty sure
For
we've won a few
400.
times. Yeah,
This
We
yeah.
is going to be so much worse than Vietnam. We're never winning Iran ever,
The problem
guys.
is the Iranians just
Ever,
aren't fucking
never.
playing ball. Like, how are we meant to win if they're like not
He
accepting
killed
our
the
win
Ayatollah
conditions?
like 2 weeks into it. He literally did this to himself. The one army in the world that is the most decentralized and like self-commanding and self-directed, literally the most the single, it's just some guy will be in a cave blowing up ships like indefinitely
And didn't he
forever.
kill
They
like
can't
the
stop it.
son's entire family and fucking
They
blow off
can't
some of his
stop it.
limbs? The guy's gonna be fucking pissed, right?
They've been accumulating weapons literally for 16 years. Like quite literally, that's all they've been spending their taxpayers' money on, or at least 46% of it.
I love it when they're like, yeah, no, they've like completely consumed their like fucking missile stockpiles and shit, and then they just like bomb every Gulf state like simultaneously, and we're like, oh, okay,
Every time
they
Trump
might have
says
a
that,
few
they blow
more,
more
but like
shit up.
they're pretty close to, you know.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
I
But
know
bro,
what the
they
fuck
have all
they're
this
doing.
Bitcoin
I know what
that
the fuck
people
they're
are
doing.
paying
It's
them
the
that they
controlled
can buy
demolition.
missiles with.
It's the controlled demolition of the fucking United States, man. Israel sees the US as like the fucking second incarnation of Rome, and so they're using Trump to destroy the United States, and part of doing that is destroying the Federal Reserve, like the global reserve currency. Like if you don't
Why are
have
we
the
in
Gulf
Jordan?
states, if you don't have the petrodollar system, like the whole thing comes crashing down.
We're fucking cooked. We're cooked.
So do we just put an aircraft carrier in Cuba? Is that what just happened? Or I guess we don't have to because it's literally hours away, right? We don't actually have to send anyone there. We can instantly deploy them.
Well, I don't know if
Right. But they did station that aircraft carrier off the coast there near Cuba, funny enough. What's that about?
I don't know.
And
I,
aren't the Chinese just like shipping them fucking like food and water and shit as well? Like just complete disregard for the fact that like Florida's right there and yeah.
It's
It's
about to
like a
get
full
fucking weird.
it's like a full mask off call on the fucking US, man. Like that's what
So
I
we
see
have
it
to be
as.
ready to buy equities. That's essentially the whole thing here is everything's going to burn and then all they're going to do is buy equity and just everything. And they're going to own all the crashed out malls and they're going to own all the business districts. And we just have to get ready to buy equity, right?
But how do they recoup that money, man? Like, just say you're buying up fucking land in like fucking San Francisco or whatever. There's tweakers shitting in you fucking in the street and stuff. Like, how do you recoup those costs? Like, I don't get it, man.
You got to sit on it for 15 years. And then these companies that are going to buy all these ground level buildings are going to they're not going to open them. They're not going to be any businesses in those little bodegas for the next 15 years. They're all just going to be
Yeah,
boarded up.
yeah,
Every single one of them. And it's
yeah.
happening in towns all over America already.
It's fucking crazy because like the solution is so fucking simple. It's like stop bombing brown people, like fucking make international trade based on fucking like fair fucking quid pro quo. You know what I mean? Like it's really not that fucking hard. Like stop
Who even cares
destabilizing
about that? What about the
democracies.
circular system here where these people are out reoffending the same day?
Yeah, basic shit, man. Basic shit. Fucking control your borders, educate your population, fucking provide
Fix
like a
the
decent
judges
level of
for fuck's
healthcare.
sakes.
Yeah.
These woke ass judges is it's so bad.
Maybe the AI will actually lead to like fucking mass deportations. Like
No,
it'll get
it'll
it.
also fire everybody.
Well, yeah, yeah. But like if it gets to the point where like they're laying off fucking 60% of the workforce, then they have to kick some people out.
that's why I
Either
tweeted.
that or we go
Right.
full Andrew Yang, like fucking freedom dividend. Everyone just gets a UBI. We put a tax on every token, 10% tax on each token, and then we fucking just
Ten
give everyone
percent
UBI.
on each token. You shouldn't. No, that's never going to work because that's basically a VAT tax on. So anyone that uses a token has to pay that amount of
Correct.
money. That no,
Yeah.
that's never going to work, man. It's never going to
How
work.
else? How else do you fund the fucking hundreds of millions of unemployed idiots?
No, you just got to. You just got to increase corporate taxes.
FEMA camps and ticks and
Well, that's the other thing,
pandemics.
right? Fucking
That solves a
lobbying
lot of
and
problems, right? If everybody's sick and can't be out past 5 p.m., it really ramps down on the
oh
civil
yeah,
unrest.
mosquitoes.
I mean, I'm not saying they do something like that, but I mean, they're definitely doing something like that.
No, they
No,
wouldn't
for real.
do.
Some of these cities, they're in full lockdown right now. Some of these small American towns, right? Full lockdown. You go to Chicago, for example, it's like in full lockdown right now. They are teetering.
Chicago isn't a small city, good guy.
Sure, that's a good example of, but like little cities in Minnesota and like Ohio and just like all over the place are getting unruly to say the least. And all the police can do in like Laguna Beach or Miami Beach or like they just have to say curfew and arrest everybody because if not, it's
Pandemonium.
about to get fucking weird.